Hello everybody, Maestro here. Welcome to the Con's Court. Today we have something very exciting to get into. If you guys saw my YouTube short that I posted, or if you went onto my TikTok and saw the TikTok I posted, it's also on my story. I actually got the Damien Leon's Ultimate Terrifier action figure Blood-Soaked edition early. And by early, I mean it was the 3rd yesterday, and now today is the 4th that we are doing this unboxing and review. But this figure is a Walmart exclusive that was not supposed to release until October 9th. And yet I happened to get it yesterday. Maybe it's the universe's way of giving me an early little birthday present. Because today is my birthday. Whoop, whoop, let's go. So very, very excited to have this figure in my collection. You know, like I said, the universe kind of worked its little mysterious ways and got me a figure that I've been very excited to get. I kind of wanted the regular version, which I still might go ahead and end up doing, but getting the blood-soaked, like Walmart special edition, version of this figure is also dope and absolutely amazing. I don't have a lot of figures, especially NECA horror action figures that are blood-soaked or that are bloody or have any other stuff like that. I think the only one I have is Leatherface, I believe is the one that I have that has a little bit of blood on him here and there. And the Michael Myers from Halloween 2018, he's got blood all on his hands. But other than that, I don't really have any like blood-soaked or like special edition version of any of these figures. This is the first one I'm going to have in my collection. So, like I said, Damien Leon's Terrifier Ultimate Art the Clown action figure Blood-Soaked. I'm super excited about this. I love the Terrifier movies. I've seen every single one. Terrifier 1, I've seen Terrifier 2. I went and saw Terrifier 3 in theaters with my wife. We had quite a blast with that movie. It was absolutely insane, as all those movies are. There was All Hallows Eve, which Art the Clown was in as well, one of his earlier, appearances. And there was another one that they had, and I can't remember which movie it was. But Art the Clown's been in multiple different movies. And I finally now have a figure for him. I have never had a figure for Art the Clown yet, even after all these years of loving Art the Clown, but now I finally do, and I'm very excited about it. I hope you guys are excited about it as well, because you all are getting an early look at a figure that is not even supposed to be released yet. So let's go ahead and get straight into this. And boom, guys, here we have it. This is Damien Leon's Terrifier Ultimate Art the Clown action figure, Blood-Soaked, as you guys can see. Bloody from head to toe. This guy's completely covered in all manner of red nastiness. Very, very cool details and paintwork, as you guys can tell. That is one thing that I noticed getting him straight out of the box. The paintwork on the blood is absolutely amazing. Very, very full and thick once you get to the center part where all the blood is splattered. But once you get to the edges, it's very smeared, very, sprayed in many different areas, dripping down his face, stuff like that. I think they did an absolutely amazing job with the blood on this figure. Even with the white parts, kind of like the normal costume parts, the black, the white, it is very sleek, very smooth. It is painted very, very well. I think ultimately the entirety of all the details on this figure look perfect. They look very movie accurate. This looks like it was pulled straight out of the movie, which I absolutely love. Which is not completely weird from my expectations. NECA horror action figures and NECA figures in general usually look absolutely amazing when it comes to details, paintwork, mold work. They all the time completely ascend in that category, and I absolutely love that about them. That's why I collect their figures, because they look great on display with all of this just amazing detail work and paintwork. It's great. There's the more bloodied side there. This is the very clean side, as you guys can see. And then when you move to the back, there is almost no blood at all. And the reason for that is because all of the fun time happens in the front, right where that very creepy, scary face is. So let's go ahead and get a little bit of a close-up of that face there. Look at that. That is only a face a mother could love, and even then, I don't know about that either. Look at that creepy face. The nose is like spot on perfect. I love the mold work for his face. Oh my gosh, it is so gorgeous. This figure is amazing. It looks so good. I'm so excited. I'm so glad I have this in my collection. So that was the first thing that I noticed. Really, really good paintwork, like I said. Moving on to some articulation. Let's see what we got in store for us. Hand rotation, pretty good. It's a little tough because of the cuffs on his sleeves, but we want to make sure it's movie accurate, so I'm perfectly fine with that being a little bit more restricted, but he can rotate his hands a full 360. His hands can move in, really, really good, and they can move out a decent bit, so that's pretty good. They don't move up and down, so that is the only thing that is limited on that articulation, but it's not something that he necessarily needs. Moving on to the elbows here, it is a single jointed elbow. I know a lot of other figure companies, they've got double jointed elbows and knees and stuff like that, but the NECA action figures 9 times out of 10 only have this single jointed, so I kind of expected that. Moving on from the elbow joints here, going up to the shoulder, you can move his arm up about that far, you know, not too far, but the shoulder does rotate a full 360 all the way around, so if you wanted his hand to go a little bit higher than that, or his arm, you can rotate it to get it to the height that you want it. So it does kind of make up for that, which is really, really good. The material of the actual outfit here on the torso is very bendy on all spots, so it does not restrict any of the joints at all, which I absolutely love. Moving up to the top, up here with the head, the neck, and the very top of the shoulders, we have this little piece here by his neck, which is a completely separated part from the rest of the figure. You can take this piece absolutely off if you pop his head off. So this is all by itself. It's very thin, very bendy, and it does not get in the way of any form of rotation, bending, or articulation with the head or neck. And the head rotation is very, very good. Just look at that. He can bend his head down so far so he can look down at all of his victims. He can also look up very, very high, a lot higher than I expected he was going to be able to. His head rotates a full 360, which I absolutely love. His hat does not come off his head at all, which is kind of unfortunate. It would have been cool if you could take his hat off, especially if you were trying to pose him in a way where he got hit in the head and you wanted his hat to kind of fly off. But I do know that his hat is kind of held up with a string, which they didn't actually put a string on his head or anything like that. They just made a little seam inside his head to kind of make it look like there is a string there. So I think that is actually really, really cool and a very, very good idea for the hat. So it does kind of make sense that the hat doesn't come off because of the string, but also it would have been cool if you could have it taken off as well. So yeah, great head and neck articulation. I mean, very, very good. The face can pop off, which is really cool. There is a little compartment here. I don't know exactly what that compartment is. I don't know if that's just how they mold it or whatever that is. I do know that he comes with an accessory, which is a brain, and I'm very curious if the brain actually can be put inside Art the Clown's head, which would be dope. I'm definitely going to check that out and show you guys to see if it does work or not, but I wanted to go ahead and talk a little bit about that because I did notice that when I was kind of messing around with the figure earlier. Very, very cool at the end of the day. I mean, that face mold still gets me. It's so good. The eyes are so good. The detail, the teeth. The teeth are all singularly made. I mean, it's just awesome. Love the head. All of that stuff up here is completely amazing. It's like S tier. Moving down to the actual torso, he does have some form of ab or back crunch, but unfortunately, you can't really use it, which is kind of unfortunate. You know, you kind of move him back and the outfit here kind of bends him right back to the way he is. You can kind of move his torso forward, but like I said, he just kind of bends right back up. Since this is rubber, it's just going to go back to the original way it was. It's just going to bend right back. He does have some form of like twist or swivel, but it's not something that actually stays. Like I said, with his outfit being very restricted, you are unable to actually have that torso swivel at all, which is kind of unfortunate, but I guess, again, it's just the sacrifice you have to make for articulation when you want such good details and such a good looking figure, especially if you want it to be movie accurate. This is a costume. It's a full outfit. Having there be some form of a separation there would kind of look off and would take away from the detail and the accuracy. So I do understand why they did it the way they did it, and I'm not mad about it at all. Moving down to the actual hip articulation here, he is very, very flexible, doing a full splits right there, which is absolutely amazing for a NECA figure. A lot of the figures aren't able to do complete full splits, but he can. You know, he can move his leg up very, very high. Look at that. Talk about a kick. Put this guy on the cheerleading team. And then you can move his leg all the way back at the hips, about that far, which I think is great. So he has amazing articulation at the hips right there. I would say it's about the same tier as the head. I mean, they did great on the hips and the head. Moving on to the actual knee joint, it is a single jointed, just like the elbow is. He can move his knees back about that far. He cannot move them forward at all, side to side. There is no knee rotation really at all. There is no mid-thigh rotation. There is no mid-calf rotation. I know some of the other figure companies do have that type of stuff, like Marvel Legends, Mezco 112 Collective, SH Figure Arts, but NECA really doesn't do that a whole lot, so I'm kind of expecting that. What they do have to make up for it, though, is they have the feet and the ankles down here. The ankles rotate a full 360, which I absolutely love. The feet kind of go down a little bit and they go up just a tiny bit, not too much at all. So there's not too much give way or leeway when it comes to the actual feet. But at the end of the day, I think it makes up for it with the rotation and the knee and the hips. So ultimately, I think there is some limitations on some of the articulation on this figure, but I think some of the other joints make up for where the other joints kind of lack. And like I said, you're going to unfortunately have to make some sacrifices on articulation, maneuverability, things of that nature when you want to stay accurate to the movie and stay accurate to the clothing, to the accessories, everything else like that. So I do very much, I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? I'm very okay with how it ended up turning out. Moving him off to the side, we're going to get into the actual accessories that he has inside the box here. He has three other faces other than the original creepy grinning face. He has kind of the laughing, kind of like ha 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 killing face there. Best way I could describe that. He kind of has his face. Best way I could describe that. You know, he's just kind of grunting, kind of with his mouth open, like he's kind of upset. Moving over to here, you have a very, very stern and serious face. That is the face you do not want to see on Art the Clown. When he gets serious, it means things are going to get very messy, bloody, and somebody's probably getting dismembered. Moving down to the other accessory right below them, it is a head. Yes, a decapitated head. If you guys watched the first Terrifier movie, you would know they went into the pizza place. Art the Clown killed the father and the son there, and he cut off one of their heads and completely mutilated it, destroyed it, stabbed it up a bunch, and put it on the counter with, I believe, a couple candles in the eyes, if I'm remembering correctly. Kind of made the head into a jack-o'-lantern. So that does come with the head. There's the brain accessory that I told you all about. That is the brain that I believe may or may not fit inside of Art the Clown's head. It would be really cool if it could. But yeah, they do have that accessory added on with it. He can also just hold the brain, like he just ripped it out of the head. It comes with this baby doll. If you guys again remember from the first movie, there is a homeless crazy woman that believes that this baby doll is her actual real life baby, and she carries it around. It is bloodied, probably after the fact that Art the Clown mutilated it and murdered her. So, you know, that is pretty cool. Actually, I don't know if he murdered her or not. I know he mutilated her. I can't remember if she actually kills her or not, or if she becomes the one lady that we see in the news in the next movie. Can't quite remember. It's one of the two. Either she dies or he mutilates her and turns her into the lady that's in the second and third movie that's taken over by a demon and possessed. Either way, that's her baby doll. Moving down to some of the weapons, we have a drill, which has a cord. The cord is unplugged, obviously, with blood all over it. You have the gun that he uses, you little cheater, at the end of the movie, where he completely disregards all of his blades and fighting fair with quotations, and just starts unloading a clip into the girl. You sick son of a bitch, you. And then we move down here to the handsaw that he uses to completely dismember people. He comes with a little shaving knife, an ice pick, a little kitchen knife. Then you move over here to the hands. He comes with 6 other hands, 3 other sets of hands other than the open hands he has. He kind of has the gun holding hands where he can pull the trigger. He has other open hands where he can hold some of the bigger blades and the bigger weapons. And then he has more enclosed hands where he can hold onto the tight, smaller little weapons here, like the ice pick and things of that nature. Moving up here to some of the bigger weapons, we have the hammer, we have a hatchet, we have a butcher's knife, we have a cleaver, a machete, a kitchen steak knife, a hatchet, and then you move up to here to his cat o' nine tails whip that he made. He made a makeshift whip here. He kind of added his own little nails to it, the cat o' nine nail whip. He actually added scissors, doctor kind of like, I guess you would call them like little blades, little things like that, stuff you would see doctors use for operations, those little kind of like medical scissors, stuff like that, added them to the end of the whip, and he uses that to whip the absolute snot out of his victims, and he whips the one girl at the end of this movie actually with that. So very, very cool that we get all of those accessories with art. I really couldn't expect anything more or less with this figure. There is 2 things that I noticed that is missing, and I wonder if you guys can see it first. Number 1, I don't see his horn, unfortunately. He's supposed to have his little horn that he squeaks all the time. I do not see the horn at all. And there's another thing that is missing too. Where's the trash bag that he keeps all of his weapons in? Funny you ask. If you pay attention to the bottom of the plastic piece here, he does come with his trash bag. It is completely folded up and taped to the bottom of the thing. You kind of have to look on the inside there. Right there, there is the trash bag. So if you kind of get him out of the box when you first buy him and you say, oh, he doesn't come with his trash bag. He does. You just kind of have to pay attention to the bottom piece right there. I have come to find out that a lot of the NECA action figures do have stuff like bags, capes, things of that nature, and usually they fold them and tape them to the bottom of the plastic right down there. So if you have a NECA action figure and there is some form of cloth, fabric, a trash bag, anything of that nature, and you don't see it in the actual box, I would double check your actual boxes, the plastic here, and check under there and see if it's taped on there, because it is in the box. You just have to look close enough. So from what I'm seeing, the only thing we are missing from art is the horn, which is very, very unfortunate. I love his little horn. Hopefully the regular Art the Clown action figure comes with the horn. I know that the blood-soaked one does not seem to come with the horn at all. I have looked everywhere in this little plastic thing, and I do not see it. I see that little ice pick there, which at first I thought was the horn, but it is not the horn. So I quite don't know why they didn't add the horn. Like I said, hopefully it's a part of the regular Art the Clown, and this edition just doesn't have it. That's the only thing I'm kind of upset about them not adding, because that's like one of his biggest things is having the horn. That's the only way he can really communicate, is through facial expressions and by squeaking the horn. So, kind of unfortunate that we don't have a blood-soaked horn, but oh well. So, with that being said, we are moving away from articulation. We moved away from accessories. We are moving away from all the details, the paintwork. We are now going into the actual comparisons. I have a couple NECA horror action figures next to me that we're going to compare him with. First, we have Chucky. 2 absolutely maniacs right here standing next to each other. Chucky comes up to about his hands, kind of right at his hips there. Art the Clown is actually decently tall from what I remember him being. But there is Chucky with his big old head right next to Art the Clown. Seeing those 2 together in a movie would be absolutely insane. I don't think an entire town would be able to stop those 2. Moving on to some of the older killers, we have Jason Voorhees. Very, very cool. I've kind of got him posed in a way where he's not standing up straight, so let me stand him up straight and kind of straighten his back out a bit. As you can see here, Jason is supposed to be a very, very, very tall guy. Jason Voorhees is supposed to be, from what I remember, like 6'10", 6'8". He's supposed to be up there. But now that we're looking at these 2 side by side, Art the Clown is just as tall as Jason, if not taller, which is kind of crazy to me because, I figured they would be, I figured Art would be a little bit shorter than he is, but apparently not. They're actually very, very similar in size. I don't remember how tall Art the Clown is. I thought Art the Clown was like 6 foot, 6'2", but it looks like they're actually very much the same height. I don't know if that's accurate or not. I will have to double check that after this video, but very, very interesting. I mean, I don't have a problem with it that they're the same height. It is what it is, but it does look a little... It's a little off-putting for me as someone who knows that Jason Voorhees is supposed to be super, super imposing. And then the last one we will compare is another crazy clown that I have. We have Pennywise the Clown from the original It movie. So there you are, Pennywise with all the balloons, standing next to Art the Clown. Art the Clown is considerably taller than Pennywise is. Yeah, I guess I just didn't notice that Pennywise was that tall. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll have to double check that. But yeah, there you guys have it. Comparing the two clowns together. Laugh it up, guys. And there we have it. There is the comparison with the height and size of other figures. We've gone through articulation, the details, the paint work, the mold work, and we've went through the accessories. Now we are getting into the final verdict. My rating of this figure out of 10. Putting in all of the things that I could possibly think about this figure that we just went over, I'm going to go ahead and say I'm giving this figure a 9.9 out of 10. Why am I not giving it the full 10 out of 10, you ask? Well, unfortunately, with all NECA figures, there is one thing that I just cannot ignore, and like I said, it is the articulation. There's many parts of this figure that are limited due to the outfit. It is not NECA's fault. They are trying to go for a different goal than a lot of the other, action figure companies are going for. And articulation ends up being one of the ones that kind of falls short when you come to all the other details. And also, I'm adding in the fact that we don't have a blood-soaked horn. I'm kind of upset that he doesn't have his horn. So when you add the horn and that articulation issue, I unfortunately have to take 0.1 points away from Art the Clown. I would give this a 10 out of 10 otherwise. This is an amazing figure. I love everything about this figure. This figure is perfect in so many different other ways, even though it's missing the horn. And, you know, it's unfortunately missing some articulation that would be really, really cool. Ultimately, this is the ultimate Art the Clown action figure blood-soaked edition. Let's go ahead and get into some posings and pictures that I did with this figure, and we'll close out of the video. And yeah, guys, there you have it. That is the ultimate Art the Clown action figure from NECA. Obviously from the movie Terrifier, and I absolutely love this figure, as you guys know, having almost no issues with it other than my own personal preferences with articulation, as I went ahead and talked to you guys about, and ultimately all the accessories, all the different attention to detail, just how well it's painted, molded, all the different stuff. I mean, there was literally nothing wrong with this figure almost other than the articulation, and that's very common with NECA action figures, especially the horror figures. They tend to be the most detailed, best looking figures for posing, but they end up having very limited posability when you kind of compare it to somebody like SH Figuarts. You know, you've got Mezco 112 Collective, you've got even Marvel Legends, which has decent posability, you know, for a cheap price. but there are many Storm Collectibles. There are a lot of other companies that excel and do great when it comes to articulation, and unfortunately, NECA is just not on that level. But what they lack in articulation, they make up for in detail, visuals, and absolutely amazing paints and molds. So that is why I absolutely love this figure. I think this figure is amazing. Just like most of the other NECA horror action figures that I have, I am glad that I can add this to my collection, and I am glad that you guys hopefully enjoyed this unboxing and review. And if you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share. Post your comments down below. Let me know what you all thought about this. And as always, guys, I will catch you all in the next video. Peace, and have a happy October, and soon, coming very soon, Halloween.